Well, Skip, it's do or die for the Suns. It's not never. They're not coming back from 3-0. They got to make this a series tonight. The question is, I know what KD and Book is going to give me. They're going to give me somewhere between 60 and 65, maybe even 70 points between the two.
Yep.
But do you trust D8? Do you trust DeAndre Ayton? Because I don't.
Okay. You know what he's like to me in the end? On any given night, he's AD as in always disappointing. They're kind of the same guy to me because your button doesn't get pushed. I don't know. You just don't show up with any aggression. You're passive. You're tentative. You drift. He's got AD in him, but obviously AD is more talented overall than DeAndre Ayton.
Right. Skip, look, I understand, and you're down 0-2, but you're at home, and the series doesn't start till the road team, wins a game. But this is what we know. You only win, if you could lose your first two games, you only win 8% of the series. So the Suns are facing a daunting task. This is something that, and you're not, the Nuggets, I think, Skip, I think the Nuggets are showing they're better than people thought they were. Because everybody like, don't nobody fear the Nuggets.
Okay, that's part and parcel of their motivation because you want to talk about chips on, they got chips on both shoulders.
Yeah, they do. And that big guy in the middle,
yep,
he's eating DeAndre Ayton lunch. And that's the thing, Skip. You got to make him work on the other end. And that's the thing. They asked DA about that play, Skip, when he was standing out of bounds, and talking about what you want me to do. I want you to get your big old butt back in bounds and try to get the rebound. I'm not asking you to go grocery shopping. I'm not asking you to find a cure for diabetes. I'm asking you to get your 7-foot butt in bounds and get the rebound, or at least challenge Jokic.
Stop him from playing volleyball like it's volleyball solitaire, right? He's just tipping the ball back and forth to himself. Tip,
like a big tall guy with a little kid. You can't get it. You can't get it. Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Well, the little kid can't get it because the little kid's about 10 feet away watching, right?
So, Skip, I'm going to take the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets win this game. They won both games by double digit, 18 the first game, 10 the second game. Skip, think about it. KD and Booker combined for 115 points in the first two games of the series. And they lost by double digits both times. And like I said, I knew that first game was an aberration because Jokic shot almost 64% from the floor. The likelihood of him being that inefficient again wasn't very likely, especially with a guy that doesn't have a motor, that doesn't challenge him defensively, and doesn't make him work on the offensive end. So if you can't challenge him, you can't make him work, and you're not going to make him work on the other end, he's going to eat you up.
Okay. I believe you are correct about this game. My head tells me that the Nuggets are going to sweep the Suns. My heart tells me that a miracle is going to happen, and it's going to take a miracle. I picked the Suns to win it all going into the playoffs. Still a fan of KD's. I've become a fan of Chris Paul's in part because of Lil Wayne, because they are like brothers, and Wayne tries to tell me, he's this and he's this, and finally he's talking me back into rooting for Chris Paul III. And yet, I did part of my podcast on this. Wayne cried some serious tears for Chris Paul after Game 2 because it doesn't look like Chris is going to come back at all for this series, and certainly not soon enough to save the day. And I look at his career, and you want to talk about star-crossed, you want to talk about bad breaks, right on schedule at every big juncture in his career. Either he's pulled something or one of his co-stars have pulled something. And it started way back, remember, against my Spurs. He made the shot of shots. He made this rainbow up through the rafters at Staples Center, Game 7.
Right.
When he was a Clipper that kissed off the glass and fell through at the buzzer to beat Tim Duncan and company. Yeah. He had come back into the game with a pulled hamstring, and he toughed it out. And then remember what happened? He couldn't play the first two games of the next series against Houston. They actually won without him. He comes back. He tries to tough it out, and his ham it's still not right.
Right.
And they wind up losing 4 straight games to lose the series. So that happened. And then the classic was in the conference finals when he's a Rocket against Golden State. They had him dead to rights. They're up 3-2, and at the end of that 5th game, he pulls his hamstring. And James can't go by himself. He can't go solo against Golden State. And you know what happened? He was horrible. They were horrible. They missed 27 straight three-pointers, which is almost inconceivably wrong and bad in Game 7 at Golden State. And that was the all she wrote of that one. Then what happens? Chris had, I thought, the greatest game of his career against the Clippers out here when he was with Phoenix. I guess it was the first year with Phoenix.
Yeah.
Remember the late third, early fourth quarter? He had 27 points.
Against the Clippers, yeah.
Wasn't that is the greatest shooting display from him I've ever seen, and one of the greatest shooting displays I've ever seen from anybody.
Right.
It was Clay or Steph-esque.
Right.
And then right on schedule, they go win Game 1 and 2 against Milwaukee in the finals, and Devin Booker pulls his hamstring. And go look at Book's numbers. He tried to tough it out and play. He was horrible the rest of the way, and obviously they lost 4 straight games. And here we go again. I thought they were in command late in the third quarter of Game 2. They're up 3. Chris was a plus 19 in the minutes he'd been on the floor in that game. And there they went because he went to the locker room. He had to limp to the locker room with the pulled groin. It's usually the hamstring. And as you say, the groin can be even more troubling and perplexing than the hamstring because you can't even move at all. You can't go side to side.
That thing hurt. It's painful.
So Chris Paul is a weird basketball player because he actually was born with a football player's body because he's built stout and he is tightly wound. And I don't know how much stretching he's tried to do, but sometimes, as you played with football players, they're just so tightly wound, they just can't even stretch.
I mean, he looks like he's tight like skin on a grape. I mean, he ain't flexible at all. And as you get, if it's skipping, you know, as you get older, you get tighter. And so you have to do even more pliability to keep everything open up because, man, hey. I'm walking around on guitar strings myself. Skip, ain't no sense to be lying.
I got it. So is Chris. So the miracle of miracles would be if KD and Book can somehow hold it down until Chris.
Can they go for 80?
It might require that because they have to win these 2 games to get it back. And then hope that if a week passes, that maybe Chris can come out. But then the problem is, even if he comes out,
they're going to attack him.
And it's also going to be tick, 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 tick.
Just a matter of time before it. Because any sudden move, that's the thing with the groin. I mean, with a soft tissue injury, any sudden move. And then.
Okay. So the X factor to me becomes a young man that I've always had respect for, and that's Cameron Payne. He has bedeviled your Lakers before. Remember that series we're going back 3 years ago?
And he ain't been the same. Remember he was popping off? He was talking all that junk to LeBron? And he been popping off, and look at him.
Here are games 2, 3, 4, and 5 against LeBron and the Lakers. This is back in 2021, actually. Yeah. He goes 19, 15, 13, and 16. Well, that's pretty good because I'm going to remind you, once upon a time, Sam Presti tabbed him as the 14th pick in the first round of the draft out of Jaws School, Murray State.
Right.
So he's the 14th overall, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so he's just a pick out of the lottery, right? So he's pretty good. Well, you're going to have to be really good right now because he's got to fill some of these shoes a little bit. He's got to come in. He's not a great distributor, but he's a career 36% three-point shoot. You're going to have to make some threes because you're going to get some open threes because you know what they'll blitz Book, blitz KD. They're not going to get a clean shot off, and Book's going to be trying to dribble through 3 people and get a shot up. But Cam Payne could get some shots. I keep talking about my guy, Terrence Ross. You got to give him some run. You got to let him see if he can heat up because I've seen him score 30 in a game. He is highly capable.
Well, they call Vegas Sin City. He's been at Brick City.
Well, has he? Well, he's been in Sit City because he doesn't get any playing time.
You're right, Skip, because he can't get a rhythm, and you know they expect the guy to come in there with, man, we saw what you did in Orlando. You just come in and just heat right up.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you got to let him get bored in like 3 minutes.
Okay. So are Kevin Durant and Devin Booker capable of winning this game? Sure they are.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're talking about rise and shine. You're going to have to get supreme efforts out of both of them, supreme performance.
You know what they Skip? They're gonna need a Game 5 performance. LeBron, Kyrie.
That's true.
They're gonna need.
I'm with you.
They're gonna need that. 41 and 41.
Whew. Okay, you're right. Well, that's you just said 80-ish, right? I'll buy that. It's going to require that because Denver is rolling, and they know they're rolling, and they are saying to everybody, see what you've been missing?
And the difference is, Skip, you know your bench. Because
it's a good bench.
Denver's a good bench. But you remove Campaign from your bench. So that's 5 or 6 points, 8 points that you don't have coming off your bench.
Yeah.
And so now your starters, that's what they were able to do against the Clippers. Your starters killed their starters. Their bench killed your bench, but their starters were so inept to get your starters, it didn't matter what the bench did. The question is, if Book and KD do what they do, they're going to have to play 40-plus minutes. There ain't no question in my mind. They're playing 40 to 44 minutes between the two of them because that's what they've been averaging.
Okay.
And they're going to need to average that.
All right.
But, Skip, you're going to have to get, DeAndre Ayton needs to give you a 2015 ball game.
Okay. So, yet, as much as you have written off the Phoenix Suns, as much as I can no longer believe in the Phoenix Suns, the odds makers are saying they're a 4.5-point favorite in Game 3 at home. So the odds makers are saying, be careful. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can say they're asking people to bet one side, but basically they're telling you, no, this team at home, even without Chris Paul, they still got some stuff going on.
Yeah, but I mean, they struggled with CP3, especially once he left. And they struggled with him in Game 1. I just don't know how they can get it together without CP3 because the cerebral approach that he has. No, Skip, he ain't gonna give you 30 anymore. Especially with Book and KD there. But there was just something about a calming effect that hey, come fourth quarter, you need a big 10-footer? Gotcha. You need a big 3? I got that too.
Hey, Chris was really good in 2 big fourth quarters against the Clippers when it looked like they were getting into some dire straits.
And he was big in the ball game where he got injured. He was making big shots.
He made 3 for 3 in that third quarter. And it even started, remember the national TV game early on against Dallas at Luka and Kyrie. And in the fourth quarter, Dallas dared him to shoot, and he nailed 2 threes and a big 2-point long-range jump shot. He was capable. It was position. Kevin Durant made it clear, I chose Phoenix in part because I wanted to go help Chris win a ring. He's turning, I've lost track of the birthday. It may be, is it today? We have to look it up. I think it might be today. It's one of these days, today or tomorrow. He's turning 38 years of age, which is LeBron's age. Obviously, he's right there on the same path, except LeBron does have 4 rings and Chris has 1 finals and no rings, right?
Yep.
So I'm just hoping against hope. I'll take Phoenix in this game, but that's heart pick, not a head pick. You ain't bet no do.
You ain't bet no do on it.
Heck no.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.